I want to show you some new options that we have related to our Google Analytics and Google Ads tag. Uh, Hopefully you don't have to use them, and you will see why. But if there are conflicts between our integrations for Google Analytics and Google Ads and some other scripts on the website calling uh, Google tag data layer, I will explain this. You will have to use these options. Now, a bit of context. We have support for Google Analytics and Google Ads directly. So we have these very easy to use and useful integrations. You simply have to add your ID here and here, Google Ads ID here and Google Analytics ID here, and we will do the rest. But we also have an integration with Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager is a tool that allows you to implement any tracking scripts. It's a tool owned by Google. And in order to make these two things work in the same time, so you can use our analytics, for example, and some other tag inside Google Tag Manager, we have two names for a variable called dataLayer. DataLayer is a variable where Google wants to have all the data that is tracked. So we have a name for our default tags, our native tags. It's dataLayer PYS, and we use the default name for this variable for our Google Tag Manager integration. Now, it's possible that you have on your website another script, an extra script, defining this variable name before we do. Even in such instances, we try to correct the problem and use our data layer name. However, if for some reason our code doesn't do this job properly, you have these options on the Google settings tag, Google tags settings page. Sorry, this page right here. This page, it's about our native integrations now, Google Tag Manager. And I'm referring to this part. The first one, by default, we will use our custom name for this data layer, and we will try to do those corrections if there is an extra script defining the data layer name. If this doesn't work, you can revert to the default name for that variable, which is data layer. In this case, if you also use our Google Tag Manager integration, it's possible to have a conflict because events will be sent twice. So in this case, it's best to use one of the two integration, not both. Or you can use a custom name for our data layer for the main tags. So these are the three options. I recommend trying the first one, so the default setup, and see if you have any problems. If our tags don't work, and you know that you have another script calling Google code, it's possible that you need to change to one of the other options here. We have similar stuff for Google Tag Manager. So on this page dedicated to the Google Tag Manager configuration, you can rename the data layer variable for the Google Tag Manager setup. In essence, what you need to remember, we have support for Google Analytics and Google Ads through our direct integrations, and we have support for Google Tag Manager as well. And you can configure them in separate ways. So you have some events for Google Analytics and some other events. You can configure some other events for your Google Tag Manager integration. You have the option to have everything here and simply close our Google Analytics and Google Ads tags. You can do this, and everything can be configured through Google Tag Manager, or you can run our Google Analytics and Google Ads integration and install other tags with Google Tag Manager. I don't know, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, anything that you want to install through Google Tag Manager. So this is it. If you have conflicts, if there is another script calling and defining that variable before us, and if we cannot correct it, select one of the extra options that we have there. We have this feature because we noticed conflicts. After we released this integration, we noticed that some websites were having like even forgotten code on somewhere defining that variable, and our native integrations were not working anymore. This is the solution. That's it. I'm Christian Stachescu from PixelYourSite. As you can see, PixelYourSite has now support for Google Tag Manager as well. And we plan to add more and more features like this. Thank you for watching. Share this video, like this video, subscribe to our channel.